Dear viewers, welcome to Noorsat Satellite Station and Telelumiere TV. Let's start with the headlines. Jordanians commemorate the birthday of the late King Hussein bin Talal. The Crown Prince stresses the importance of the role of the Coptic Church in promoting peace and interfaith dialogue. Establishing the third Friday of June every year as the Feast of the Virgin in Our Lady of the Mountain. We also have, due to the increase in corona cases, strict measures are taken regarding funeral homes and wedding parties. Welcome back. In the framework of his weekly Christian teachings, and as he habitually does every week, His Holiness Pope Francis welcomed the believers coming from all over the world to the Vatican, where His Holiness contemplated and said,
Most Holy Father, the English-speaking pilgrims and visitors present today wish to express to you their sentiments of respect and esteem, and to assure you of their prayers for your ministry as the successor of Peter. At the end of the audience, we will sing together the Our Father in Latin. The Holy Father will then impart his apostolic blessing, which he willingly extends to all children and young people, the elderly and the sick. His Holiness also intends to bless any religious articles you may have brought for this purpose. The following is a summary of the Holy Father's words this morning. Dear brothers and sisters, in this year of St. Joseph, today we begin a new series of catecheses on the humble carpenter of Nazareth, the foster father of the child Jesus and the patron of the universal church. In Hebrew, the name Joseph evokes God's power to bring about growth and new life. Joseph teaches us to trust in God's providence quietly at work in our world. His life is principally associated with two small towns, Bethlehem and Nazareth, reminding us that God's preferential love is for the poor and those on the margins of life. God chose Bethlehem, the city of David, as the place where his son was to be born under the watchful care of Joseph, who was himself of the house of David. By his life and example, Saint Joseph reminds us that in our own day, the church is called to proclaim the good news of Christ's coming, beginning with the existential periphery of our world. The poor and the forgotten in our midst can look to him as a sure guide and protector in their lives. Let us ask Saint Joseph to intercede for the church, that we may always set forth anew from Bethlehem in order to see and appreciate what is essential in God's eyes.
Jordanians commemorated the 86th anniversary of the birth of His Majesty the late King Hussein bin Talal, the builder of modern Jordan's Renaissance and anchor of the pillars of development and stability, with his insightful vision and remarkable sophistication. As Jordanians recall on the birthday of the builder king, a life full of giving and achievement, they look forward with pride and hope to the achievements of the reign of His Majesty King Abdullah II, who followed the path of his forefathers and grandfathers in completing the march of development. Since His Majesty received the banner, he has continued the march with wisdom and power until Jordan became the object of admiration and appreciation of the countries of the world. His Majesty King Abdullah II said in a tweet via Twitter, "On the anniversary of the birth of my father Hussein, may God have mercy on him. We remember the march marked by the Builder King as we are moving forward with determination and confidence in the second centenary. We are continuing in his footsteps, principles, and values in the service of our dear homeland." During his visit to Egypt, His Highness Prince Al-Hussein bin Abdullah II, the Crown Prince, met Pope Tawadros II, Pope of Alexandria. His Highness conveyed to him the greetings of His Majesty King Abdullah II and his keenness to consolidate the principles of fraternity and coexistence. His Highness also stressed the importance of the role of the Coptic Orthodox Church in promoting peace and dialogue of religions. His Highness referred to the religious tourist attractions in the kingdom, the most important of which is the site of the baptism of Christ, which enjoys a high religious status among all the parishioners of Christian churches in the world. His Highness expressed Jordan's aspiration to enhance the visit of Coptic pilgrims to these places. In turn, His Holiness Pope Tawadros II conveyed His Highness the Crown Prince his greetings to His Majesty the King, praising His Majesty's role and his continuous care of the Islamic and Christian holy sites in Jerusalem. By an official decree from His Beatitude Patriarch Pier Battista Pizzaballa, Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, the Feast of the Virgin, Our Lady of the Mountain in Anjara Ajloun Governorate, was fixed to be on the third Friday of June of every year, as approved in the annual book of liturgical celebrations in the Archdiocese of Jerusalem. It is noteworthy that the church and shrine of Our Lady of the Mountain dates back to the year 1932, where it was erected on the ruins of an ancient archaeological church dating back to the 4th century AD, and this church is one of the 5 sites approved by the Vatican for Christian pilgrimage. On the other hand, His Beatitude Patriarch Pier Battista Pizzaballa decided to appoint both Father Wajdi Mu'in Al-Twal and Father Ramez Mario Al-Twal as spiritual guides for Christian youth in Jordan and Galilee. In the presence of Archbishop George Shihan, Metropolitan of Egypt and South Africa, the parish of St. Charbel in Amman celebrated the International Day of the Sick. During his homily, His Eminence thanked the parishioners for their love. He also praised the renewal work that took place recently in the Maronite Church, calling the faithful to live in partnership, communion, and the synodal message. At the end of the divine sacrifice, Bishop Shihan thanked Father Joseph Suwaid, the Patriarchal Vicar of the Maronite Church in Jordan, and the servants of the Church for their message, which resonates positively with the general believers. The Minister of Tourism and Antiquities Naif Al-Fayez and Bishop Daniel, Bishop of Maadi, and Secretary of the Holy Synod, inaugurated the photo exhibition of Jordanian tourist attractions and religious places at St. Mark's Cathedral in Abbasiyah in Cairo. Al-Fayez indicated that the site of the baptism of Christ will be a starting point for the Coptic believers, especially after the efforts culminated in the construction of the Coptic Church at the site of the baptism in which Jesus was baptized. And the Minister of Tourism explained that the exhibition provides an overview of the religious and archaeological tourist sites in Jordan. For his part, Archpriest Antonio Subhi, priest of the Coptic Orthodox Church of the Virgin Mary, said that following the delegation's return to Amman, an action plan will begin to activate tourism between Jordan and Egypt. The entry will be from the title, Fill Your Soul with Light, which is the light of the holy places and the light of spiritually and Jordanian Hashemite generosity. A ceremony was held in the Orthodox Club in Amman to announce and sign the book Spiritual Essays by Father from the Holy Mountain, translated into Arabic by Dr. Ibrahim Dabour. The ceremony was opened by Archbishop Christophoros Atallah in the presence of Metropolitan Benedictus, the Patriarchal Vicar in the city of Bethlehem, and a group of priests, public social and cultural figures, and a large crowd of audience. And in his welcoming speech, Father Ibrahim stressed that every work in the field of the Church should glorify God and lead to the salvation of souls, pointing out the need to draw on the experiences and teachings of the Holy Fathers, as lived theology is the experience of these people in monasteries, specifically Mount Athos, as His Holiness presented a comprehensive theological and doctrinal explanation of the most prominent chapters of the book. From our local news, the Minister of Interior, Mazen Al-Faraya, circulated to the administrative rulers the necessity of emphasizing the permanent ban on the establishment of mourning houses, as well as the prohibition of holding wedding parties outside the licensed halls. And this came in view of the increase in numbers of recorded cases with the coronavirus, and for considerations of health and public safety, and to ensure that the virus does not spread among citizens. Here, dear viewers, we have come to the end of our news, and those were the headlines. Jordanians commemorate the birthday of the late King Hussein bin Talal. The Crown Prince stresses the importance of the role of the Coptic Church in promoting peace and interfaith dialogue. Establishing the third Friday of June every year as the Feast of the Virgin in Our Lady of the Mountain. Due to the increase in corona cases, strict measures are taken regarding funeral homes and wedding parties. For more information, please visit our website www.noorsatjo.org. Thank you for watching. Until we meet again, Have a good day.